Have a baby. Genesis 1:28. And God blessed them, and God said unto them, Be fruitful, and multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. Making another one of you can be a scary adventure to embark upon. Some people never get to doing it because of some unresolved self-hatred or inferiority. Others run out of time, while others are incapable of doing so. Nonetheless, you cannot make an exact clone of yourself. Well, at least not yet. Half of your baby has to come from another person. This necessity introduces a lot of complexity into reproduction that goes beyond the act and the birth. Babies take a long time to mature. On average, it takes about 25 to 30 years for an offspring to develop to the point where they will have no need for their parents. This is a big factor to consider when choosing a mate to procreate with. Whether you both like it or not, you will most likely be stuck with each other up to a point where obtaining another partner is either impossible or has so little benefits that it would be best if you just stayed together. Meaning that this is a lifetime endeavor, one that requires compromise and sacrifice, where leaving is most likely to cause long-lasting damaging effects that are often not recognizable until later generations. You realize that marrying the person you choose to have children with is probably the best thing the both of you could do. 1 Corinthians 7:10-11. And unto the married I command, yet not I, but the Lord, let not the wife depart from her husband. But, and if she depart, let her remain unmarried, or be reconciled to her husband, and let not the husband put away his wife. The red pill espouses that there are 3 benefits to marriage for men, the most important being children, next being sex, and lastly, domestic comfort and companionship. In the faith, we know that all of these 3 are given. There being no sex before marriage, women being encouraged to be stay-at-home wives if their husband be so fortunate as to afford it, and the command to be fruitful and multiply. Christianity adds additional benefits to marriage, which are illustration and sanctification. The purpose of illustration calls upon you to choose your partner wisely. It is sinful to choose a partner that is not of your own beliefs and faith, one that is not saved. This is a very important rule in Christianity, a rule that also applies across different cultures, traditions, and religions. 2 Corinthians 6:14. Do not be unequally yoked with unbelievers, for what partnership has righteousness with lawlessness, or what fellowship has light with darkness? Being equally yoked allows your marriage to fully illustrate the image of your ideal. The marriage takes on a life of its own that goes beyond the 2 individuals that have formed it. The purpose of sanctification is for you to know that your marriage is made to transform you, so that you may be an active participant in the transformation of you and your partner. If you believe your marriage is about your feelings, then when the going gets rough, you will walk. Sanctification calls upon you to battle, work, fight, and forgive. That the goal of your marriage is not for the both of you to be happy, but for your transformation and cleansing. There is nothing selfish about it. Nothing in its purposes that talks about the personal desires of the man and woman that are taking the vows. Being called upon to illustrate and sanctify will push you to desire to know men and women. Knowing before dating, pregnancy, or marriage that you want to marry and have a child will change the way you approach finding a mate. You will automatically delay the gratification that comes with being in a relationship with someone else. You will make intercession for the marriage and the children that will follow. With the possibility of children, you will know that a woman's womb does not belong to her, regardless of what she may tell you. It belongs to a father, and you will be liable to answer to him should you defile it. Knowing that you will be stuck with the person you choose until death will make you more picky. Freedom is not bliss, but so is uneducated self-imprisonment. You know that it is better to have no family than a horrible family. It is better to be in no relationship than a horrible relationship. Proverbs 21:9. It is better to live in a corner of the housetop than in a house shared with a quarrelsome wife. Having a great family is the preferred choice to a horrible or non-existent family. So now you have to figure out how to get that. Gaining the skills and knowledge to have a great family is very difficult work and study, one that takes many years. Proverbs 19:14. House and wealth are inherited from fathers, but a prudent wife is from the Lord. Deciding that you want to have children is moving this task from the background up to the foreground. You will take it seriously and actually set out time in your work week to pursue this knowledge. You will take it as seriously as you did your university degree when you were studying, trying to get a job. This time, the final goal is not a career, but a family. You will understand that majority of what it takes to have a great family has little to nothing to do with the person you will be married to. You shift the study from an individual personality to the differentiation and integration of an entire group. For the study to be successful, you will require the understanding that there are two major contributing stores of knowledge to any relationship that you will enter into. There is the genetic, traditional, religious, and status stores of knowledge that you and your partner come pre-programmed with. This is knowledge that you do not need to acquire, but need to become aware of. You need to understand how it will impact your marriage, family, children, and future. All of this knowledge is determined at birth. It is determined by your ancestral line and the god or gods that preside over you. There is very little that you can do to change it. These are the cards that have been dealt to you in life. The second store of knowledge is the one that you have full control over. It is the blank slate configuration of any game you choose to enter into with another person. Since you are not the creator of the game of having a baby, you know that the rules already exist. An optimized configuration of how you and your partner start the game without handicaps and with all the advantages that you can obtain has already been defined. You just have to learn what that configuration is and work to obtain the resources, knowledge, skills, and relationships that are outlined. Proverbs 31:10. An excellent wife, who can find? She is far more precious than jewels. You do not have to wait for the reality of someone else being more important than you are before you start working on being more mature. This is not the optimal way to go about things, because then you will already have the child and will have less time to spend on studying and gaining experience. You will be studying for the test as you write it. Romans 5:3-4. And not only so, but we glory in tribulations also, knowing that tribulation worketh patience, and patience experience, and experience hope. The maturity you gain from diligent focused work and study is not the same as that is forced upon you by a responsibility such as a child. Responsibility chosen voluntarily before necessity is not the same as necessary responsibility by circumstance. You develop different aspects of yourself. 1 Corinthians 13:11. When I was a child, I spake as a child. I understood as a child. I thought as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. The second is a justification and sanctification of the self by works, while the first is by faith. As all Christians know, that the faith is far more superior to works, they also understand that faith without works is dead. It is far better for your works to pour out from your faith after you have been justified and sanctified than for you to work for your justification and sanctification. Galatians 2:16. Yet we know that a person is not justified by works of the law, but through faith in Jesus Christ. So we also have believed in Jesus Christ, in order to be justified by faith in Christ and not by works of the law, because by works of the law no one will be justified. You need to orient your life so that the main point is to be Christ-like. This endeavor must be one that you choose alone. Being forced into it by circumstance does not yield the same results. 1 Peter 2:2. Like newborn infants, long for the pure spiritual milk, that by it you may grow up into salvation. One of, if not the most important point of your life, is to have a baby. As you study about this, you will come to know that this is not only a desire that you will come to have at some point in your life, but it is a desire that your ancestors and God have for you. A goal that will push you towards whether you want to achieve it or not. Romans 8:28. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose. When you choose faith, you choose to submit to an ideal. You learn all the archetypes that come with this ideal and strive to emulate them in your day-to-day life. The ideal is a figure of perfection. You are always flawed in some way, shape, or size. In order to mature in any reasonable manner, you need to understand the magnitude in which you are deeply flawed relative to an ideal. This is difficult because you not only have to judge yourself truthfully, but you also have to go out and ask other people to judge the worst parts of you. This is the development of your individual self. You become an initiate and submerge yourself in initiatory rites. These initiatory rites that you look for in the world are there to develop your personality and make you more complete. Initiation can be traditional, religious, spiritual, or rational. Traditional, religious, and spiritual initiations usually involve a physical act overseen by a trusted elder. The rational initiatory event is more intellectual and is usually brought about by a relational event involving a lie and betrayal. The Christian initiatory rite is salvation. That is between you and Jesus Christ. No outside influence is necessary. All except the rational initiatory event are determined for you before birth. Some rites depend on your willingness to do them, while others are inevitable. They destroy your personality and you are born anew with the new cultural norms relative to the rite. They are designed to rip you away from your family and destroy any form of dependence you have on them, so that you can go start your own family. Matthew 19:4-6. He answered, Have you not read that He who created them from the beginning made them male and female? And said, Therefore a man shall leave his father and his mother and hold fast to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. So they are no longer two, but one flesh. What therefore God has joined together, let not man separate. Your family's and anyone else's opinions will now come second to those of your ideal. Your ideal will demand sacrifices so you may gain favor from Him in your future endeavors. The only acceptable sacrifices are those that come from belief and faith. Works and belief, because of necessity and rationalization, is the fertile soil for the fruition of pathology. It is not good. It is the result of their inability to delay gratification. For where sacrifice is lacking, pathology arises. Having a baby brings a lot of gratification from yourself and the wider society. Gratification you may be tempted to rush to without first making the proper sacrifices and being a student of the Word. The ultimate goal is to be Christ-like. Your job as a married person is to work to becoming a beautiful sculpture. Your marriage is the tool. God will use your marriage to break you and bring you closer to the image of Jesus Christ. Ephesians 4:13-16. Till we all come in the unity of the faith and of the knowledge of the Son of God, unto a perfect man, unto the measure of the stature of the fullness of Christ, that we henceforth be no more children, tossed to and fro and carried about with every wind of doctrine, by the sleight of men, and cunning craftiness, whereby they lie in wait to deceive. But speaking the truth in love may grow up into him in all things, which is the head, even Christ, from whom the whole body fitly joined together and compacted by that which every joint supplieth, according to the effectual working in the measure of every part, maketh increase of the body unto the edifying of itself in love. Your partner's faith is the most important thing about them. What you win them with, you win them to.